So if you were to see a building built around late 90s, early 2000s, you'd probably see in that building either one of these devices, the Specturalert Classic or the Wheelock NS. And today I'm going to be doing a comparison between these two devices. Now, I do know that I did this as a Radionics rebranded NS, as you might be able to tell. But both these are exactly the same. This is exactly the same as the normal NS. First of all, the design factor. So the Specturalert Classic has it's kind of like this little mounting plate, and then a little bump with the actual device, the horn, the fire lettering, the little snap in or the screw, the reflector, the strobe. This is actually a multi-candela Classic. It's a P1224MC. This is the fixed candela one, but I do know the candela options the multi-candela versions of these have, so we can compare that later. So yeah, this is a multi-candela Classic. So as you can see, design factor, this one, I feel like it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. This one kind of feels like a bird. I mean, it sounds like a bird. It has very weird fire lettering, like very 90s-ish. This came out in like the early 2000s, I think. This came out in the late 90s, so I feel like this looks maybe a little bit more futuristic. Again, there's really no fire alarms that look futuristic. I think the most futuristic looking fire alarm has to be the Wheelock Exceeder, but this didn't came out until like 20 years or 10 years after these. And so, yeah. So I think the winner for the design goes to the Specturalert Classic. So 1 point to this and 0 to this. Next off is the practicality. So I'm gonna compare how to mount these two devices. I'm gonna try to do this with one hand. So to mount the NS, you have to first take off this little plate. So as you can see, I took off the bottom plate. What you do is you take a flathead screwdriver, and then you put it around these little things, snaps right here, and then you see your mounting screws. This is where you mount it to the back box, and then you have to select if you want to be continuous or low volume. And then here is the horn. So this is actually, the thing is that you have to wire it like that, and then it's you have to wire it up. It's kind of it takes a while. It's kind of hard to do it on the NS, and none of these neither does this Specturalert and this NS doesn't have the little newer snap-in design where you can mount the mounting bracket. These came out like years before these were standard in the fire alarm industry, so I'm not gonna take points for these not having a mounting bracket wiring design. Now let's go to the Specturalert. So to mount the Specturalert, you have to take a screwdriver or a Specturalert Classic removal tool, and pry the thing out of the mounting bracket. So this is the mounting bracket. I'm actually using the one for my Classic remote throw because I don't feel like getting the one off of this one. So, but it's basically mostly the same. So this one's actually a broken mounting plate tab. So what you do is you put your wires in. You put your wiring for this, and you mount your screw here or whatever you need them. And then here's the candela switch, just where you set your candela. And then on the horn strobe versions, or the horn versions, there's a little thing you can select if you want it to be temporal, continuous, electromechanical, or 3000 hertz. And then once you're done, you just do like this. Now, if you actually have an older Classic, these are both 3rd gen Classics. But if you want to get the thing where the if you have a 1st gen Classic, it will be the little screw hole. So I don't have any 1st gen Classics. So I think the practicality, these are both kind of difficult to wire, but I think the Classic is easier to wire. So there's 2 points to the classic, and yeah. Next, we're gonna go over the power draw. I don't have any tools to test the power draw, so I'm gonna go on the specifications on both these devices' data sheets. Alright, so here's the data sheet for the NS. As you can see, here is for the UL max current. So you can see that, let's see, here's the other data sheet, but I don't think any other else on the NS data sheets show the power draw. So, and then we're gonna do, let's look at the classic. This on the classic is actually kind of hard to read, but just from the face of it, I'm also gonna be neutral about this thing. It does look like the classic does have a slightly higher power draw depending on the voltage, but again, that actually depends on the voltage on both of these. So I'm gonna be neutral about that, honestly. So I'm just gonna give the point to both. So 1 point, 3 points to the classic and 1 point to the NS. Next is sound output. Now, Fire Alarm Dude 5967, I'm just gonna use his tests for this, and he did a test. I'm gonna link it in the iCard in the description. The NS is actually louder than both the Specturalert Classic and the Specturalert Advance. So I'm actually gonna give 2 points to each because these are still very loud alarms that can be heard very clearly. So 4 points to the Classic and then 2 points to the NS. Next, I'm going to do candela output. So if you look on the back of a Specturalert, that's multi-candela, like a FirstGen. As you can see the little switch here, and this switch actually changes the candela. So the candela options available on the classics are 15, and if it's second or FirstGens, I believe they have all these candela options, but they're all fixed candela. So you have to, like, if you want a 1575 version, you have to get the 1575 model. If you want to be 75 candela, you have to get the 75 candela model. So it's 15, 70, 15, 75, 30, 75, and 110 candela. Now this is a fixed candela model, but if I look on the candela options on another Wheelock device, so this is a Wheelock ZNS, which is the newer version of the NS, and the multi-candela NS has the same candela options as the ZNS. So all Wheelock multi-candela devices before the Exceeder has these candela options: 75, 15, 30, 110. So the classic wins this point. So 5 points to the classic, 2 points the NS because the NS has has less candela options and the classic has more candela options. Although I do believe that they do make fixed candela NSs that are higher candela, but honestly, I think the classic wins on this. Next, we're going to do tones. This is easily 6 points to the classic, and then 2 points, I think. Yeah, it's still 2 points to the NS, because the NS has 1 tone, and the classic has 2 tones. I know multi-tone isn't a thing anymore, but still, this has 3000 Hz and electromechanical, and the NS just has its default, just generic Wheelock tone. And the System Sensor L series did bring back the 3000 Hz tone, which is kind of interesting. So, still 6 points to the classic. And yes, I know multi-tone isn't really a thing anymore, but still, it's kind of nice to have more tones in case you need them. So, 6 points to the classic, 2 points to the NS. Now we're going to do voltage ratings. And I'm just kind of combining this category with agency listings. The classic can do 12 to 24 volts. It's UL listed. They do make versions of these that are ULC listed, and then FM approved. Well, the NS is UL listed. I do believe they might make models that are ULC listed. I don't think they make multi-listed. First, right now, these are not FM approved, but they probably are. and it's accepted for cities in New York. So 1 point goes to the NS for the listings, and then 1 point goes to Classic for the voltage ratings. So 7 points to the Classic and 3 points to the NS. And that New York City listing, I mean, when these devices were around, the FM listing really doesn't mean anything, but with the NS, it really allows you. It's really easier if you're in New York, city, which is huge. It means a lot more than an FM improving, in my opinion. So yeah. The last category I'll be ranking these devices on. I think we have 7 points on the Classic and 4 points on the NS. I think is features. The Classic has a second tone. I'm not gonna rate it on things I've already rated it on. But all the Classics. 1 point to the Classic. 8 points to the Classic now. All models can be used as both 2-wire and 4-wire, kinda. So both of these things do have 4-wire models, but they kind of operate weirdly. Let me just explain it. So these devices cannot technically be run in 2-wire operation, but technically they can. It's kind of weird. So how that works, what I mean by that, is let's say you want to have a system where, let's say you have a bunch of maybe like let's say some kind of old horn strobes, like maybe some, I guess maybe some Wheelock MTs. So let's say I have some MTs right over here, and I want to add a Classic to this system because the building's still expanding, and I want to add some Classics for the new wing, because in this building requires audible silence. And let's say that it's just a 2-wire, it's just 4-wire, 2 separate circuits, 2 separate alarm circuits, one for the strobe and one for the horn, coming out of the panel. And let's say I want to make it so this Classic also audibly silences. What I'll do is use a screwdriver and remove these 2 tabs, and then wire the audible to the audible from the MTs, and the strobe to the strobe from the MTs, and then now the signal audible silence. But the thing is, while you can run the strobes by itself, you cannot run the horn by itself. And that's the same with the NS. That's the same deal with the NS. So, and you can actually code the horns with the 4-wire operation on these. The thing is that the NSs have separate models for the 4-wire model. These is just one model. So the 1 point goes to the Classic. I'm just gonna round it to 10 points because I'm honestly losing track. And this is on 4 points. And then other features. Honestly, I feel like the Classic has more features. It has the mounting bracket design that's better, even though I've already ranked on that. This overall, in my opinion, is the better device. Now, this is not a bad device, but this is honestly a better device, has more practicality and stuff. So, the final ranking on these devices, I might have missed a few categories, but still, 10 points to the Classic, and I'll rate it up to 5 points for the NS. So the Classic definitely beats the NS for this ranking, for my own ranking. It's definitely a better device, and the NS is not a bad device, but it's not the best device for its time era. These do both support audible silence. These do support syncing, although you obviously run 6 different sync protocols, but still, these devices are still pretty good, but yeah, the Classic is easily better. Alright, that's it.